The Atlantic in December is a harsh, merciless expanse, gray sky and sea merging into one. The wind howls across the waves, and the cold bites through even the thickest coat. Out here, in the endless stretch between continents, ships are at the mercy of the elements, and the line between safety and disaster is razor thin. On December 4, 1872, Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia spotted a ship adrift between the Azores and Portugal. The vessel was barely visible through the mist, its silhouette wavering on the horizon as if it were a mirage conjured by the restless sea. The vessel's sails were torn and set oddly, drifting without direction. A ghost ship. The rigging flapped in the wind, and the ship seemed to move with a will of its own, untethered from human hands. As the Dei Gratia approached, silence hung heavy. The ship was the Mary Celeste, which had left New York a month earlier, bound for Genoa with a cargo of industrial alcohol. Now, she floated alone, her journey interrupted by an unfathomable fate. Morehouse knew her captain, Benjamin Briggs, a skilled sailor. This chaos was unthinkable under his command. Briggs was respected for his caution and experience, and he had brought his wife and young daughter on this voyage, a testament to his confidence in the journey. The crew hailed the Mary Celeste. No answer, only the creak of timbers and slap of waves. The emptiness was unsettling, as if the ship itself was holding its breath, waiting for someone to break the spell. Morehouse sent first mate Oliver Devoid and a boarding party to investigate. The men rowed across the choppy water, their hearts pounding with a mix of dread and curiosity, unsure of what they would find. Up close, the ship showed neglect, loose ropes, heavy yawing, and a deserted deck. The air was thick with the scent of salt and old wood, and every footstep echoed in the unnatural quiet. The wheels spun freely. No one was aboard, no crew, no passengers, no sign of life or death. It was as if the people had simply vanished, leaving the ship to wander the ocean alone. Below deck, the quarters were tidy, belongings untouched, a child's toys on a bunk, a haunting reminder of Briggs's family. The beds were made, clothing hung neatly, and the captain's logbook lay open, as if waiting for its next entry. The galley was stocked, food and water plentiful. There was no sign of struggle, no evidence of panic or haste in the way the ship was provisioned. The Mary Celeste was seaworthy, yet her people had vanished. The hull was sound, the cargo intact, and the lifeboat was missing, suggesting a deliberate departure, but offering no clue as to why. The boarding party found no evidence of violence or disaster, no blood, no signs of fire or flooding, no indication of a struggle. It was as if the crew had simply walked off the ship into thin air. The ship was a floating enigma, abandoned in haste but not in chaos. Everything was in its place, yet the most important element, the people, were gone. The mystery deepened. Why would a capable crew leave a sound ship in the open ocean? What terror or urgency could have driven them to abandon safety for the uncertainty of the sea? The Mary Celeste drifted on, a silent question mark on the waves. Her story would become one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time, a ghost on the water, forever haunting the imagination of those who sail the sea. The Mary Celeste's story exploded into legend. A ghost ship found adrift, its crew vanished, newspapers and sailors spun wild tales, warm meals left on tables, a cat sleeping in the cabin, breakfast half-eaten. None of it was true. The ship was wet, disordered, and clearly abandoned in haste. These myths, born from our love of a good mystery, obscured the real tragedy. The truth is more subtle. A ship left suddenly, clues scattered, no supernatural forces at play. To understand what happened, we must separate fact from fiction and look at the evidence as it was. The real story is not about ghosts, but about fear, human error, and a chain of fateful decisions. Devoid and his men searched for answers, finding only silent clues. Every step they took echoed on the empty deck, the absence of life more chilling than any storm. The ship felt frozen in time, as if its story had been abruptly interrupted. The sails were a mess, set by unskilled hands. Lines were tangled, knots hastily tied, as if the crew had left in a hurry or someone unfamiliar with the rigging had tried to manage them. It was clear that whatever happened, it was sudden and left no time for order. The ship was taking on water, but not dangerously so. The bilge held a few feet, enough to be noticed but not enough to threaten the vessel. It suggested neglect, not disaster. Someone had stopped caring for the ship, but not for long. In the hold, 1701 barrels of denatured alcohol, each one carefully counted. The cargo was intact, untouched by thieves or mutineers, as if the crew had left with every intention of returning. 9 barrels were empty, made of porous red oak. These barrels, unlike the rest, could have leaked their contents, filling the hold with fumes. It was a detail that would later fuel theories about what drove the crew to abandon ship. The captain's navigational instruments and ship's papers were missing. Charts were scattered, the logbook left open as if someone had been interrupted mid-sentence. It was as if the heart of the ship's command had been ripped out. The lifeboat was gone, apparently launched on purpose. The davits were swung out, ropes dangling, showing clear signs of a deliberate departure rather than a chaotic escape. A rope trailed from the rail into the sea, frayed and broken. It hinted at a desperate attempt to stay connected to the ship, a final link severed by the waves or by human hands. The evidence pointed to a sudden, panicked evacuation. There were no signs of violence, but the haste was unmistakable. Something had driven the crew to leave everything behind. The crew took only essentials, leaving behind valuables and supplies. Personal belongings, food, and even money were left untouched, as if survival was their only concern. They launched the lifeboat, tethered it to the ship, but the connection was lost. Whether by accident or intention, the lifeboat drifted away, taking the crew with it and leaving the Mary Celeste to her fate. The empty barrels, missing lifeboat, and broken rope are the key clues. Each detail adds to the mystery, painting a picture of confusion and urgency. No sign of violence, no theft, just a vanished crew and a ship left adrift. The Mary Celeste floated on, untouched by human hands, a ghostly reminder of the unknown. The silence of the Mary Celeste spoke volumes. In that quiet, the unanswered questions lingered, echoing across the empty decks and out to the endless sea. With no survivors, theories ran wild. Some accused the Dei Gracia's crew of murder for salvage money, but there was no evidence, no blood, no struggle. Mutiny? Unlikely. Briggs was respected, his crew loyal and experienced. Pirates. The cargo and valuables were untouched. Piracy was rare in those waters. Insurance fraud? The payout was small, and no one would risk family for such a scheme. Each theory crumbled under scrutiny. The facts didn't fit violence or conspiracy. The Mary Celeste was abandoned, not plundered. The real answer lay not in crime, but in the physical evidence left behind. The mystery persisted, unsolved by suspicion. The truth was stranger and more tragic than any crime. The ship's fate was sealed by fear, not malice. The central question remained: what drove the crew to flee? The breakthrough came from science, not sleuthing. Chemist Dr. Andrea Sella recreated the Mary Celeste's cargo hold, testing the effects of alcohol vapor. A spark ignited the fumes, not a fiery explosion, but a pressure wave. A cold explosion. The blast blew hatch covers off but left no scorch marks or fire. 9 red oak barrels likely leaked alcohol, filling the hold with vapor. A sudden, terrifying roar and burst of heat would have convinced the crew the ship was about to explode. Panic would be instant, especially with a family on board. The danger was over in seconds, but the fear lingered. The science explained the panic, the hasty evacuation, and the mystery of the abandoned ship. Picture the final hour aboard the Mary Celeste. The sun dips low, casting golden light across the endless Atlantic, and the ship rocks gently on a deceptively calm sea. The crew, weary but alert, sense an unease in the air, a tension that seems to hang over the deck like a gathering storm. Suddenly, the peace is shattered. A deafening roar erupts from below deck. Hatch covers are blown skyward. A surge of heat and smoke billows up, sending the crew into chaos. The air is thick with the acrid smell of fumes, and panic spreads as the threat of fire becomes terrifyingly real. Captain Briggs, fearing a catastrophic explosion that could destroy the ship and everyone aboard, makes a split-second decision. He orders the crew and his family to abandon ship, his voice cutting through the confusion with urgency and authority. In a frantic rush, they snatch up only what they cannot leave behind: navigational instruments, the ship's vital papers, and a few precious belongings. The captain's wife gathers their young daughter, and the crew helps each other, hearts pounding, as they prepare to leave their home at sea. Working together, the sailors lower the yawl into the water, hands trembling as they secure it alongside the Mary Celeste. They tie a rope to the ship, hoping to stay close until the danger passes, clinging to the hope that they might soon return. The lifeboat drifts away, carrying 10 souls, men, women, and a child, out onto the open water. They watch anxiously, expecting the ship to erupt in flames at any moment, their eyes fixed on the silent deck. But nothing happens. The Mary Celeste remains eerily still, her sails slack, her decks empty. The only sound is the gentle slap of waves against the hull. Then, without warning, a sudden gust of wind fills her sails. The ship lurches forward, the rope strains to its limit, and with a sharp crack, it snaps. The lifeboat is left behind, powerless to follow. The crew, huddled together in the small boat, watch helplessly as their ship sails away. 10 lives adrift on the vast ocean with no way back to the safety of the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste glides onward, empty and silent, becoming a ghost ship in the truest sense, her story now adrift with the wind and waves. In the lifeboat, fear and regret settle in. The crew's fate is sealed by a moment of panic and a cruel twist of fate, their hopes fading with the distant silhouette of their ship. The tragedy is not supernatural but heartbreakingly human, a story of fear, love, and the desperate will to survive, a captain's desperate choice, a family's hope, and a vanished crew, lost to the sea and to history, their final moments forever a mystery. The ship's silence is the only witness, her empty decks echoing with the memory of those who once called her home. The Mary Celeste sails on into legend, her fate a haunting reminder of the sea's power and the fragility of those who dare to cross it. The real tragedy was soon overshadowed by fiction. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, J. Habakkuk Jeffson's statement, turned the Mary Celeste into a myth, murders, curses, and a haunted ship. His tale, though pure invention, was so compelling it blurred fact and fiction for generations. Myths of warm meals and perfect order came from his imagination, not reality. The public preferred the legend to the truth. Conan Doyle's fiction became accepted as fact, fueling wild theories and ghost stories. The real story, a captain's fateful error, was lost in the fog of sensationalism. The Mary Celeste's legend endures, but the truth is more haunting. The Mary Celeste is more than a mystery. It's a warning. Even the best can be undone by fear and a split-second decision. The first investigators chased wild theories, ignoring the evidence. The real answer lay in science, not superstition. The ship's later years were plagued by misfortune, ending in deliberate wreck and fraud. Yet its legend lives on, a symbol of the sea's dangers and the cost of panic. The Mary Celeste reminds us, the line between safety and disaster is thin. Its story is not about ghosts but about people, choices, and the unforgiving ocean. Imagine yourself on that deck, the roar, the fear, the impossible choice. Do you stay on a ship that might explode or risk the open sea in a lifeboat? Captain Briggs chose to protect his family and crew, tethering hope to the ship. It was a decision made in love and terror, not cowardice. The tragedy of the Mary Celeste is that there was no perfect answer, only a human one. Sometimes the most careful choice leads to disaster. The ghost ship story endures because it forces us to ask, what would we have done? The Mary Celeste's silence is a haunting echo of that unthinkable choice. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you crave more mysteries, true crime, and stories that defy explanation, you're in the right place. Hit like if you enjoyed unraveling the Mary Celeste, drop your theories in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest enigmas. Until next time, keep questioning the shadows.